All right, so we're back with 3B4, and 3B4 is going to look at gene disorders. Now, just like chromosomal disorders, gene disorders can only be passed from one generation to the next if it happens in the gametes. Remember, mutations that happen in somatic cells are not passed on offspring. The only mutations that are passed on are the ones that happen in the gametes. So this would have occurred during meiosis. That's when you inherit your traits from your parents. There are different types of gene disorders, but a gene disorder is a defect in one gene on the chromosome. Remember, a chromosome is a long piece of DNA wrapped around proteins, and that long piece of DNA has multiple sections on it that code for specific traits. Each one of those sections is known as a gene. So there can be thousands of genes on one chromosome. A gene disorder is a mutation in one gene on the chromosome, whereas a chromosomal disorder affects every gene on the chromosome, okay? So, two of the gene disorders that you need to know about are sickle cell anemia and cystic fibrosis. Now, sickle cell anemia and cystic fibrosis are both autosomal gene disorders, meaning that they're found on a chromosome that is not a gender-determining chromosome. So they're going to be on one of those pairs between 1 and 22. And sickle cell anemia is what we call an autosomal codominant disorder. Now, which means if I inherit two normal alleles, I have normal red blood cells. If I inherit an allele for normal and one for sickle cells, that means some of my red blood cells are going to be normal and some of them are going to be sickled. So since I'm going to see both of those traits, this is a codominant disorder. So if the heterozygote, you're going to be codominant, and they'll say you have the sickle cell trait. Now, if I have two alleles for the sickled cells, then I'm going to have sickle cell disease because I have no normal red blood cells. All of my red blood cells will be shaped like sickles. Cystic fibrosis, on the other hand, is an autosomal recessive disorder, meaning that I only have the actual disorder if I inherit the two recessive alleles. So I can be normal or I can be a carrier and I won't show symptoms of the disease. But if I inherit both of the recessive alleles, then I actually have cystic fibrosis. Now our next three disorders are all sex-linked recessive, and if they're sex-linked, that means these genes are located on the X chromosomes, and this is going to be muscular dystrophy, color blindness, and hemophilia. And what we know about sex-linked recessive disorders is that they tend to affect males more than females because males are hemizygous, meaning that they only have one X chromosome. So they either get the disorder or they don't, whereas females can actually be carriers of a sex-linked recessive disorder. So with all three of these, notice that I have the genders there first, and I have placed the gene or the allele on the X chromosome only. Notice I did not put anything on the Y chromosome. So if a person inherits two normal alleles, they will be normal. They will not have the disorder. If they're a female, they get two normal alleles. A male, you get that one normal allele, and you are normal. In order to have the sex-linked disorder, females must get two copies of the defective allele, whereas males will get that one X that is defective and they have the disorder. Only females can be carriers of a sex-linked disorder. Now, another thing about a female when it comes to a sex-linked disorder, the only way she gets it is if her father has it also. Her father has to have it because she's going to get one of the X's from her father. Her mother at least needs to be a carrier, but her father indeed has to have the disorder. Alright guys, that's it on gene disorders. Toodles!